Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. You join me today on this broken battlefield to look at issue 36 of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, the weekly Partworks magazine from Hachette Publishing in association with Games Workshop. I subscribe to this magazine and I get 4 magazines a month, and this is the second magazine in my bundle of 4. We are going to be looking at Ultramarines Chief Librarian Tigurius, recess shading models, and new psychic powers. So that all sounds pretty cool. But one of the good things about this magazine is that every issue you get some cool stuff on the cover. Usually it's miniatures, but you also get hobby supplies. And with this particular issue, we got some new hobby supplies. We got, not very excitingly, a pot of Macrack Blue. Anybody who regularly watches my reviews of these magazines will know that while I appreciate that they include restocks of paints, because they actually gave away, they don't give it away. I should also point that out. This isn't free stuff on the cover. You're paying for this. You're just getting a discount over retail prices. But they provided a pot of Macrack Blue in an early issue of the magazine. And they've obviously decided that by this point you need a restock. But like I say, I understand why they do that, because it's good that they keep making sure you have everything you need to follow the painting guides and everything else in the magazine. But at the same time, I feel that once you've got to issue 36 of the magazine, you could easily go out and buy yourself another pot of Macrack Blue if you know you need it. And I would rather see the magazine providing new paints with new information on how to use those paints and how to take your painting to the next level. So, or at least how to add additional details to your miniatures. So, yeah, I appreciate it. It's good to have, but I would have liked to have seen a different colour included rather than Macrack Blue. Fortunately, that's not the only paint that came in the issue. We also got... all my dreams have come true. We got some Steel Legion Drab. This they haven't provided before, so this is something new. So what we're going to get in the magazine, we'll get the painting guides showing how to use this on all of the miniatures that have been included in previous issues. It'll go back and say, now add this paint here and this paint here. And that's more interesting to me than a restock. The third thing... is a product I've never used. It's Athonian Camo Shade. So they're going to use this again to go back and add details to miniatures that we've already received. And I'm going to be interested to see how they're using this, because like I say, I've never used Athonian Camo Shade before. Obviously I used a lot of Nolan Oil and Agrax Earth Shade and Reichland Flesh Shade and the like, but never Athonian Camo Shade. So interested to know what that's going to be all about. Now, the magazine is priced at $7.99 an issue, and you obviously get the magazine and then you get the cover products. So you can probably tell that is a little bit of a saving over retail, because the Macrack Blue and the Steel Legion Drab, they retail for $2.75 a pot, and the Shade is $4.75 a pot. So all told, that's £10.25 if you were to purchase these 3 bottles from Games Workshop Direct. So you're saving £2.26, which is a decent saving. It's not earth-shattering savings, but it is good savings, £2.26. And of course, in addition to the paints, you get whatever the glorious magazine provides. So let's have a look and see what we can find out about Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. What have we got here? It's a Deadly Evolution. I should point out that I open these magazines for the first time on camera, so sometimes it's coming apart already. These magazines are designed to pull apart. That's a feature because you get ring binders. You can see they're hole punched already, and each page has got a little color-coded section so you can split it up. Once you've assembled your miniatures, I'm not sure why you would necessarily want to keep the assembly guides, but in binders, but that's the way they've done it. It's designed so that you can you keep the assembly instructions too. So we've got a deadly evolution. So this is just about psychic powers. Cool artwork, as one would expect. A fortunate few pass their tests and find themselves serving the Imperium as sanctioned psychers. For the rest of them, their heads explode. So there's sanctioned psychers, rogue psychers, and chaos psychers. Then we've got some Chronicles of Virulence. This is more sort of history, details of the Death Guard and what the old Plague Boys get up to. And then we've got a profile on Chief Librarian Tigurius with a cool piece of artwork. They've done this with other characters as well. You get their title, their abilities, what kind of war gear they're carrying. And then a little bit of information on what that chap's been getting up to. Cool stuff. And then what you would normally get in this section, if there's a miniature, you would get an assembly guide. But obviously there are no miniatures with this issue, so we go straight into the painting section. And the use of Steel Legion drab, and they've gone back to miniatures from previous magazines, as I said they would, and they're just showing you where to add those paints. The painting guides don't really show you any new techniques or anything. It just basically shows you where to put the paint to get a good finished tabletop ready miniature. So yeah, we're going back and we're painting in the staff, other little bits and bobs, all the little twiddles and the heads and things. And then we've got a section on adding more details to the other Death Guards. So Rakarth flesh to paint in the maggots. Maggots. Wow, there's a reference no one will get. We have adding some Abaddon Black to the Plaguecaster. And then some more Agrax Earthshade. Yeah, it's just taking the miniatures a step further towards being completely finished. Painting your models brings them to life. Let's bloomin' hope not. Last thing you want is a bunch of these chaps scurrying around your house. It'd be gross. Right. So then we've got Agrax Earthshade, Nuln Oil, and Athonian Camo Shade being applied to the Poxwalkers. I'm not sure why we've waited till now to have instructions on adding Agrax Earthshade and Nuln Oil to the Poxwalkers. We've had these two shades for bloomin' ages. Yeah. I suppose, do we add... Oh, I don't know. The painting guides can be... Because they give you a miniatures, and then they give you some of the paints to paint those miniatures, and then later on they'll give you some more paints, and then you go back and paint some more on, and then you get some more paints, and you go back and paint some more. Sometimes it can be a little bit confusing, especially in a magazine which is all about the painting, like this particular issue, because they go back and cover loads of different miniatures, and I look at them and think, I thought we'd already done that bit. But anyway, here we go. Here we're adding some Athonian Camo Shade. So they're putting it all over the fleshy bits, I guess to make them look pustulant and rotting. And then more Athonian Camo Shade. And now we're talking about recess shading. Now this is interesting because this is a new technique. This is something that, to the best of my recollection, they haven't talked about previously. Because recess shading is where, rather than, when you've got a miniature, rather than putting a wash over an entire area, you just paint the wash into the recesses. It's particularly good for large areas where you've got large flat surfaces, so terrain and things like that, where you can just shade in the details without sloshing half a bottle of shade over your terrain. So yeah, they're just showing showing how that's being painted into the gaps of the armor and in the pitted sections of the plate mail. And and here we go. They're showing it being applied to miniatures, to vehicles. That's what I meant to say. And you can see that the before and after shots there, before and after. It really does make a massive difference once you line in that shading. And of course, with something like a Rhino, you wouldn't want to slosh shade over everything because you've got all these large flat plates that you wouldn't want. The shade would kind of dry all patchy over it, and it would be blotchy and wasteful, and you'd end up having to go back over it and repaint those areas anyway. So yeah, recess shading is the way to go. And again, that's a really nice result on that. That's looking very nice. Again, a little bit clean. It looks like it's come straight out of the Nurgle factory. But yeah, that's cool. Okay, so there you go. I take it all back. They have introduced a new painting concept. That's cool. I'm happy with that. I'm happy to see them showing new ideas and new concepts in the painting guides. I think that's necessary. And then we're into a rules section. This is cool. We've got the whole page of the Librarious Disciplines, so that you can see what that's all about. So it says, before the battle, Space Marine Psychers can swap any power on their datasheet except for Smite for 1 from the table below. You can roll a d6 or choose the power. And you got all the 6 different abilities there. That's cool. And then we've got Contagion Discipline. So it's exactly the same thing, but for the Death Guard. And there's examples of using psychic powers. So this is cool. Cool new rules. Again, this magazine, I'm tripping over my words horrifically during this video. I do apologize. This magazine does a really good job of breaking the rules down and introducing them slowly and gradually, introducing new concepts as you need them. So, I mean, it was a while back they introduced Psychers, but because there was only one Psyker, they never introduced concepts like the Deny the Witch rule until the second Psyker came in for the opposing force, and then they started talking about how you can cancel out enemy psychic abilities and things like that. And now they've obviously gone another step further and talked about how you can swap out some of your psychic abilities and things like that. So it's a gradual progression through the rules, adding layers of complexity. I think it's a really fantastic way of doing it. I think the magazine does a really good job. I think this magazine does represent a fantastic way to get somebody into the game and learning the game. It's potentially a little bit on the long-winded side. I mean, I'm not sure we necessarily needed as many magazines as we needed to get where we are, but of course, that's how it works. That's how these things work, and that's how they break up the drip feeding of the miniatures and the paints and everything else as well. And then we have a new mission: reach the evac point with some precious cargo. So looks like we've got the Space Marines coming in here and trying to get out of here and here. Why don't you just get out there and there? I don't know. Whilst the Death Guard coming in here and trying to shoot them up on the T-junction before they get out. Well, there we go. That is that. And that is the end of the magazine. So let's have a quick look of what's coming up next. If you saw my last video, you'll know it is the other half of the Riser Pattern Ruins. But issue 38, I'm sure, will be much more exciting. I know what it is already. It's a Plague Surgeon, and that is exciting. It's a cool miniature. It's a really cool miniature. And also, not a cheap miniature. Not one of the most expensive ones, but not a cheap miniature. So that's good savings on that particular magazine as well. But obviously, we will talk about that another time. For now, I'm going to do my pricing thing. Price of subscribing to the magazine versus the cost of purchasing all the products from the front of the magazine at retail from Games Workshop without any discounts. Hopefully that will be of use to some people, and hopefully this video has been interesting. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or queries, please leave them in the comments section below. I do my best to read everything and respond if I can. Thank you very much, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.